Kevin, thanks for having us back
Yeah,
down here. Really cool. It's always amazing to come see the store evolving and seeing what you're doing in terms of just tweaking the aquaculture, proving the system. And last time I was down here, one of the things you were talking to me about actually was because of the way, particularly with the new G5s, G6s, and most of the farm is lit with Radion G4s. Everything's kind of dialed in for that for that higher mounting height where you can get in, access the tanks, work on them. But you need that high par level to really get good growth and color in the hard corals and the stony corals. But one of the things you were finding with G5s and G6s is that mounting height, because the spread is kind of optimized for home tanks or for shallower tanks. You aren't getting quite the par oomph, in some of those systems.
yeah. For us, it just isn't as practical since we're always working in here daily, grabbing corals, moving things around, inspecting them, fragging them. To have these things lowered right to the water surface and then constantly have to be moving them up and down and things like that. And then we did go with a lot of these systems, a normal, I would say, display tank height rather than doing shallow troughs and things like that, just so we can dial in the flow a little bit better and increase the amount of water volume, which can have some good benefits on stability in the system and, having enough trace and nutrients available, especially if we're doing multiple tiered things like this. It gives us that flexibility. So in this particular application, we were using, the standard lenses on those G5s, but we have these elevated with the Acropora, so we're able to maintain enough par. But a lot of those systems that are primarily acros, they'd be sometimes almost, I think, 3 feet away from the lights. So having those more focused lenses have a huge benefit there to where we won't have to lower that down, where it's nice and open in the top, or if someone has a real tall tank too, or it'll give them the ability to really punch down and reach those things throughout the whole tank to get it dialed in to exactly what you're looking for.
And what typically, at this sort of 3 to 4 foot range, what kind of par are you looking for? I mean, what are you getting right now at this level, given your
It
period?
depends on the type of coral we're keeping and where it is as far as its acclimation. But a lot of the acros we keep usually around 3 to 500, generally in that kind of micromole par range.
And certainly at 500, given the 120 degree optics on a G5 or G6, you're gonna, because of that spread, you're gonna be starting to be pushing that, in terms of being able to deliver that level of par.
Mm-hmm.
So, based on that, what I was excited to come down and show you was we actually have, now we have narrow angle optics for the G5, G6, which will actually pull that light back into that 80 degree spread.
Yep.
And should boost that par level between 2 to half or 50%, an additional 50 to 100% in that area, which should be very helpful for deeper tank applications.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly with the par. The nice thing about these two is we'll be able to just send you a bunch of these, and you can just take the cover off, a few screws, and you can put one of these on.
Yeah, and for people's display tanks, if they're looking for a lot of extra flexibility, let's say you have a rock structure, in a deep 4-foot tank where the back tier is real high and you have a lot of those pieces up there. Maybe there you would use your standard lenses and you're going to get enough punch on that stuff. But then you want the front tier to still have the ability to keep some of those acroporas lower in the tank or some other high light demand stuff. You have the flexibility to slap those on, have it sort of zoned out, or in a aquaculture application in here, we could take a section of this system and use the lenses, whereas, a lot of the Gonioporas and Zoas and things like that, we could just use the standard lenses over there too. So it definitely gives us, options and flexibility if we're really trying to dial things in within the same system and, allow us to where we don't have to kind of design things from scratch or switch lights or anything like that. And it should save a lot of electricity for us in the long run too, because now we could potentially not be lighting the wall as much. It would be more focused in to where we could lower the percentage that we're actually running them to and get the same amount of light on these corals down here. So, I do see a lot of potential with this. I'm excited to fire these bad boys up.
Yeah, and just final thought there. You bring up the other good point is that A lot of it depends on obviously how the lights are mounted and what your application is, but that light spillage, even on a home aquarium, if you have your tanks particularly forward or higher up, you may want to cut down on that because it will also reduce the glare in front of the tank.
Yeah, very true.
You're getting less light sideways. So depends on what you're doing with it. I mean, some people benefit from the getting the absolute maximum coverage area out of each fixture, but then there's definitely applications where such as this perfectly, where a tighter lens could come in handy. So
yeah.
Anyway,
Sure.
narrow optics, cool. They'll be available shortly here, and we will get you some to outfit your system.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm excited to try them out.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for coming.